Hello, everybody, and welcome to GodQuest. I am so delighted that you have joined us, and you're in for a treat today. I have with me all the way from Liverpool, England, the one, the only, pastor, missionary, evangelist, apostle, and who knows what else, John Hemus from Liverpool, England. I'm delighted you're here, John.
Glad to be here, and I'm dead serious about what I said earlier. We actually did plan to get driving from the East Coast to here to come to service here this morning.
Well, welcome to California and welcome to GodQuest. The last couple of episodes, we have been talking about revival and the interplay with the prophetic. And with last week, we talked about the fivefold ministry and kind of how those ministries function together. And Brother Hemus, I have watched over the years that I have been acquainted with your ministry, obviously a builder, a contractor in the physical world before coming to God and then using those skills. But as God anointed you, I've watched you build relationships with people, and I've watched as there's a raw element of faith that you have that stands out. And I've talked about it with other ministry friends, that there is a particular evangelistic faith, something there. And I know of real miracles, incredible healings that took place. So let's talk about the prophetic tonight from the realm of healing, where the spoken word of healing, you just kind of unpack in your mind, where do you see this revival that God is moving the church into in the realm of the supernatural? What role does the miraculous, because obviously you've got radical faith that God can do the impossible.
Do the impossible. It really is. I just know I cannot do anything, and I know God can. With God, all things are possible. I actually believe that. Yeah. Like just coming up here.
Yeah.
Walked past that lady. She just got the Holy Ghost. I look at her. I could see the Spirit of God right there. And
let me unpack that, because we were coming, she had just come out of the baptistry. We were coming up here to do GodQuest, and she'd just been baptized. And we're in the hallway. We're not in the church or the altar. We're in the hallway coming back, and you saw the presence of God all over her.
Over her.
And we just stopped. I kept walking. I turned around. John's not with me. I get up here, and I said, "Where is he at?" They said, "He's in the hallway."
And she did. She was filled with the Holy Ghost.
Incredible.
It was there. I suppose over the years you can kind of get, and I'm not saying it's a skill, but it's something that I look for. And again, being trained myself in a sense to God, if like that was such an opportunity that I see you going in the distance, and I went, oh, I can't go anywhere. That was a divine appointment between her and I.
Right.
It was there. It was like God arrested me in the hallway and went, no, you're not going anywhere. She needs to be filled.
You felt a supernatural prophetic touch on you that made you aware.
Totally.
As you passed by.
Yeah, I actually, all I could see was her. Everybody else was around me. I didn't see anybody else. I saw her face. I see that it was literally glowing. Because you said something to her, but then it was like, no, you're not going anywhere. Pray for her. And when she decided to talk in tongues down there, she began to give prophecy. I could feel it, and I went, what on earth? I mean, look, I've prayed for thousands of people, seen thousands of people receive the Holy Ghost. That was special. Incredible. Don't know who she is, don't know what was going on, but you will find out. Absolutely.
I love it. I'm remembering a similar thing where you reacted in the moment with, it's interesting, you'd never seen this lady, you just prayed for her. And to my knowledge, the way I remember the story, there was a man high up in the business world with Under Armour or something, one of the sports fields, that was dying of cancer, and God used you.
Yeah.
Talk about that, because that was one of the very first stories that I heard about how God had used you in this realm of speaking faith, and then God using you in the realm of the miraculous.
It wasn't Under Armour. It was Adidas TaylorMade.
Okay.
And Andrew where underarm comes into the story. How long have I got here? Because it's a brilliant story.
Give us the Cliff Notes.
The Cliff Notes. The Lord Mayor, ex-Lord Mayor of the area in the city of Liverpool, came to me with stage 4 melanoma cancer. He trusted me to the point where he came to my old office and he asked me, he said, "What's it like to die?" And I'm like, "I have no idea, Hugh, but I know there's one that has come back from
What an
death."
interesting question.
But he was the ex-Lord Mayor. I mean, he'd got members of Parliament, their positions. I mean, the guy was a powerful piece of work. And came to my office, sat me down and was like, "What's it like to die?" And I laughed to start with, but the Lord showed me he'd got cancer. And when he come and sat in front of me, he began to tell me, he broke down 3 times, and all of a sudden I just felt it. And I went, "You're not going to die of this disease." He was given 3 months to live.
Okay, let's stop right there, because we've been in this flow of the prophetic. We've just come through the hallway where this lady stepped out as you're passing by. There's a prophetic moment. She receives the Holy Ghost. Now, you've just met this Lord Mayor in this story, and God speaks to you. Can you identify, like, how did you know?
What happens?
What happened? Like, what was that prophetic sense that you felt?
Right. I'm going to use you as an example. This morning when I was sitting in the service, you have an incredible gift of healing, but you don't use it enough.
Okay.
I saw it this morning. I went, "Ooh!" It was so. What happens? You close in, and it's a focus, and it just. I don't care who's around me. I can feel that specific moment is about to either be for you or heal you. Or so when I was with Hugh in my office, it just everything disappears. And then it's just like he and I, and the rest of the world is not around me. And I went, "You're not going to die of this disease." Now, he's just been given 3 months to live after he broke down 3 times and just wept uncontrollably. And I just, I can see it. It just kind of comes in. It's very specific. But then it was, "You're not going to die of this disease." And he went to say to me, "Hey, I've just been told." And all of a sudden, he jumps in the air and starts to scream at the top of his lungs, "Something has just come out of my body." Right. So I'm going, "Yeah." Right, and that's not being
So it was
cocky.
like an immediate confirmation in that
Oh,
moment.
he just jumps. I mean, and Sherry comes running into the office, swings the door open. There's Hugh. He grabs hold of Sherry and he bounces around the room screaming, "Something's just come out of my body." And he shoots out the door. Gone. So I'm going, okay, let's see what happens next. I was doing the extension on the back of the church at the same time we were building the new church. Pouring the concrete footings, phone rings. It's about 3 days later. Young man who now is our usher at our church. He was there today. Long story for that one. Another miraculous thing. But Hugh called me from the oncologist. And I wasn't going to answer the phone because I was pouring the footings. And Lee picked the phone up and he was going, "Put the Reverend on the phone." So I get the phone. I go, "Hugh, I got concrete between my legs." And he went, "Rev," he said, "I'm at the oncologist. He's sending me home. He can't find stage 4 melanoma cancer in my body."
Wow.
Right. So I was like, "I expected it. That's okay. See you. Pour the concrete." So very quickly, it's like, it's not us. I just feel it's our job or it's our calling. So as I put the phone down, I'm like, "Jesus, you are awesome." And then in comes the concrete. So I told the church, Andrew, he's about as high as you can get in TaylorMade.
Okay.
He's the top dog. The owners are there, and there's Andrew. And he was given a leukemia diagnosis. Tony used to work for Under Armour, Tony O'Neill. He said, "Where are you?" So, I mean, Hampton's his 4-hour drive. He said, "Come and see our pastor of the church. He's just had something incredible happen. He just prayed for the ex-Lord Mayor. Get in your car." So I'm now building the church. The walls are lying down. I got a tool belt on. I got a bandana on. I mean, I'm covered in
Doesn't
sawdust.
look much like a faith healer.
Well, that's what he kind of said. So in comes this guy in a brand new Beamer. He's got snakeskin shoes and Breitling watch. I mean, the boy's up here, right? Yeah. And he gets out the car, and I just turn around and look at him. And I knew what he'd come for, but I didn't even go that direction. So he said to me, "I'm looking for the pastor of the church." So I look around and looked at the other guys, and they're going, where is he? And they went, you're talking to him. And he looked at me like I was a piece of dirt. He just went, and I went, yeah. What, do you want me to put a collar on or something in a black suit? Does that make you feel better? So I dropped my tool belt off, and I was like, Andrew, I'm the pastor of the church. And I said, I'm just going to talk about the gospel, about salvation, and about water and spiritual baptism. And after 15 minutes, I went, let me pray for you. And he went, how's it? He went, the cars are coming. But you've been to the church. Yeah. You got the main highway.
Road right there.
So he went, can we go in the building? So let's go in the building. So we go in there. 10 seconds. That man was speaking in tongues, and he dropped to 15 minutes. He's never heard this before in his life, and he drops to his knees on the floor, and he grabbed his throat. So I'm going, this is different. So I go on my knees with him. Now don't forget, I got sawdust. I'm stinky and everything. I get on the floor, and I went, what's happened? He went, it's in my throat, and he said, I've got no pain. There's no lumps in my throat. It's completely gone. I can't feel anything. So I was like, get up. So he stands up and said, throw your hands up and thank God. And then again, the tongues of heaven just flowed through this man. Wow. It was powerful. 2 days later, he's at the oncologist. Now, I never spoke to him, but I got his recorded message on my phone. I wept as he told me what the doctor said. He said, I have just left the oncologist, and the oncologist has said, I've never, ever witnessed this, but it's reversed. I've never seen it go in reverse. Go home and live. And he couldn't finish. I could hear him sobbing, and he just put his phone down. He said, I'm pulling over, and he just, awesome.
The miraculous power of God is very real.
Totally.
And I have seen healings take place. I've seen people come out of wheelchairs. I've seen the blind eyes open. In this church, 2 men that were on a river in the Delta, a man had drowned, had been dead close to 30 minutes. They pulled his body from the water and laid him on the concrete, and in the process began to pray, and God brought that man back to life. So when I talk about the miraculous, and I talk to people like you, it's not something from a fairy tale or some old book that we read from. These are things that are to be normative in the church.
Yeah.
And I believe that God in this season of revival that is coming to the church, I believe God is wanting to gift us in supernatural ways, not for us to print cards, get buses, and say, look, I'm a faith healer. But I love the way you told that story. You got tool belt and concrete and sweat, and you're just doing the daily work. These signs shall follow them that believe. And if you could, in closing here, what are some things that you would encourage, not just preachers, because I think sometimes we push the working of the miraculous just on the preacher, but this is for all believers. If you could encourage people how to stir up that gift that is within them, what would you say to them?
You have to try it. Seriously. It's like faith is like a muscle. And if you don't work the muscle, it doesn't grow.
Very good.
And I'm serious. I heard my pastor years ago preaching away in like 1991. I was a 1-year-old in the church speaking about the miraculous. And I just looked at him and I went, we can all do this? Absolutely. So I went off and tried it. I did.
Yeah.
And I've never looked back. I mean, I've even laid my hands up on a dead man and he come back to life in Liverpool Hospital. It's on record.
Wow.
It's there. But if you don't try it and step out into that unknown realm that we don't belong in, it's there.
We have a supernatural birth. We were born from above. And the same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead dwells within these mortal bodies.
Absolutely.
And He is the one that said, greater works than these shall ye do.
That you will do.
And He did some pretty incredible things, but when He tells us greater, I believe that God is calling us to step into. I believe the Pentecostal church has for too long stopped short of the privilege and the authority that we have been given. And I want to encourage all of you in this quest, this God quest, Look for ways that God can use you in the supernatural. And it may not appear. For you, you didn't wake up that day going out looking for this spiritual encounter. You put your tool belt on. You were a working man.
Yep.
You were in the ditches, so to speak, and God brings this. So this isn't something that just happens at church. This isn't something for the big crusade. This is for life in the trenches. John, thanks for being with us. I'm excited for what God is doing, and I look forward to hearing more miraculous stories. Thank you for joining us on GodQuest today.